What is up, guys? In today's video, we're going to be reacting to this video by Timmy about the evolution of vehicles in Fortnite. I thought it was a very interesting topic because, you know, Season 3 Wrecked was what it was with the cars, but also there's been kind of a drastic shift in terms of how vehicles have been done in Fortnite over the years, with them becoming a larger and larger part of the game. And I actually am very anti-vehicle. Like, I'm not a big fan of vehicles in game. The vehicles I like, I feel like are strictly for mobility and have like clear downsides. I don't like when there's a vehicle that like is a weapon in of itself. I've never been a fan of that. Even all the way back to like Halo 3, I was like not a fan of like the Banshees or Wraiths or Ghosts or whatever like vehicles people could use to get kills. And I also don't like the ones that are good for traveling but are so good that you can't like stop somebody running from you, you know? You enjoy this video, remember to give it a like, subscribe, what you think of vehicles in Fortnite, what your favorite was and what your least favorite was, and the link for Timmy's video will be down in the description below as well.
Ferraris, McLarens, boats, and shopping carts? Fortnite has some of the craziest and most entertaining vehicles in gaming history, but some of them were complete disasters.
Oh my god, this game is so bad, bro. I'm about to just...
This video is also a tier list. He's going to be ranking them. I think the mech will get a rank of its own. That's what I expect to happen.
Install.
Yeah, I will not be playing this season.
Today, we will be taking a look at the evolution of vehicles in Fortnite, starting all the way back in Chapter 1 with the shopping cart. In May of 2018...
Alright, guys. Who played back then? The shopping cart was the most hyped thing I've ever seen in Fortnite for no reason. Like, this got so much gas and it was like kind of pointless.
Fortnite added the shopping cart. This wasn't exactly the fastest or easiest to use vehicle, but it certainly captured the early essence of Fortnite, which was having fun.
We're going to. Oh, there's an RPG right there. Let's go. Oh my god.
Wait. Now.
No. Do it. Down. Oh, you're going down. Oh my. Let's get in it.
This is before there was AI, by the way.
Apparently I could be killed.
Although shopping carts weren't advanced, they did change Epic Games' opinions on vehicles. You see, at first, Epic Games didn't want to add vehicles.
I actually remember seeing this and I was very happy because, like I said, I'm pretty anti-vehicle. And one of the main things that made me prefer Fortnite to PUBG, because PUBG was also on console at the time, was how reliant PUBG seemed on cars. It seemed like the way to play that game was to get a car, kind of play edge zone constantly, use your car as cover, and just rinse and repeat that 24/7. Whereas like Fortnite was on foot only, and the game was made to be traveled on foot, and so like I felt like the fights just played out much better. But yeah, in the early days, Fortnite literally said like, we don't think there's a need for vehicles
In the game, but after seeing how impactful the shopping carts were, Epic would go on to add almost 100 vehicles over the next 5 chapters. And because of the impact the shopping cart had on the game and the nostalgia, I'm going to give the shopping cart a B on our tier list. Oh yeah, that reminds me,
Yeah, shopping are kind of irrelevant. I think the only time I had a game impacted by shopping carts was like you could get stuck on them at certain POIs and it was kind of annoying. Like I remember Greasy had some in the shop, but like it was mostly just kind of like a meme troll item.
Forgot to mention, after every single vehicle, I will be adding them to this tier list so we can decide once and for all.
S tier, my opinion, ATK, the Driftboard, the Quad Crasher, and the motorcycles. All of those are decent mobility with like clear downsides.
What the best vehicle in Fortnite is.
We'll see if he agrees.
Next up, we have Fortnite's first...
This one was perfect.
...ever motorized vehicle, the ATK. And these things were fun.
Here we go.
I thought he was about to say something else that started with F. Listen.
Motorized vehicle, the ATK. And these things were fun.
Here we go, boys. Yeah. Oh, woo! Holy shit, did you see that?
With the snipe, wild card, yeah, what a... Oh my god!
Did they die here?
Get out, dude!
Although you could find the golf carts all over the map at various locations, most of them were found at the best POI in Fortnite history, Lazy Links. And
I liked that POI.
perhaps most importantly, the ATKs were part of one of the most famous clips in Fortnite history.
Oh no. I'm coming for you, boy. I'm coming for you. Hold on. Musie's here. Oh no! We killed Choppadoodle!
Wow, that clip brings back so many memories.
Dang, Ninja is
And
moving
for that
different.
and so many other reasons, I love ATKs, and I just have to put them above the shopping cart at A tier.
I would put them S tier like I said, for my kind of how I would rank them, it was good for getting around the map faster. If you used this at a bad time, or if someone was trying to fight you and you were like, oh, I'm just going to get in my ATK and leave, that person was going to beam you if their aim was decent. Like, there is a solid amount of risk reward to this, and you weren't just like immediately like not able to fight the person using it. And that was even with like Bloom ARs that were like pretty inaccurate. So I think this is the best vehicle they ever added to the game in terms of balance.
ATKs were such a success that the following season, Chapter 1, Season 6, Fortnite added a brand new explosive form of movement called quad crashers. These high-powered ATV cars could move fast across the ground, but streamers like Tfue took this to the next level by making these things.
You could fly it across the map, and when we had them return in OG, they removed the flying, and a lot of people were upset about it. And the flying across the map was kind of insane. You could travel really quick, but still, I feel like it's... I don't know if balance would be the right word, but I didn't have problems with it because, again, I felt like there's a decent risk and reward to using it. If you were fighting someone and they were doing nothing but try to run, you were going to beam them off of this, probably no problem.
Fly.
Alright, this shit's easy, dog.
Oh, you did it?
Yo, this shit's bad easy.
This was crazy,
and
though.
Once people learned
people
you
that
could
did that
launch
well
these
were
quad
like...
crashers a mile into the air, the trick shotting began.
Ninjas had a Reese's sponsor.
Quad Crasher has to be the first S-tier vehicle on this list, but our next vehicle most certainly is not. Planes. The first...
This was the first season I woke up for, and I was just incredibly disappointed. Up to this point, I felt like every Fortnite season was fine. Season 5 had a lot of controversy with removing double pump, but like, this was the first season where I was genuinely like sad. It was a vehicle that was a weapon. So like people could use the guns and just ram builds and everything. And then also when it first came out, fuel wasn't a thing. So like if you wanted to just win, just get in a plane, fly around super high in the sky, and then like when it's a 1v1 or like very late in the game, just ram the person. Like you could just literally not partake in the game at all because you're using the plane. So yeah.
Most overpowered vehicle in Fortnite history. And these things were making people mad.
Oh. Hey, GG's, bro. Good fight, man. I really
Baby Mongrel is so funny, like seeing Mongrel now, like with him being like grown up.
like having a balanced fight. GG.
Season 7 with planes was definitely a fun one. I'll be honest, I'm not the best Fortnite player myself, so although these planes did upset a lot of the competitive community, I had a lot of fun flying around map and crashing into...
So Dacon would have the most troll things happen to him. He tries to get in the plane here and then it just kills
community,
him.
I had a lot of fun flying around map and crashing into tilted towers.
No, don't do it. Don't do it.
I think they eventually made it to where the plane takes damage when you crash into structures, but I don't think that was always the case.
Although I personally like these planes, I'm trying to not be too biased on the tier list, so I'm gonna place the planes in C tier for now.
I'd probably put them D, but after the nerfs, like C is fine. But like I said, I'm very biased toward like against vehicles. I do not like them being weapons, and then I also don't like people just being able to like use the car to bypass the game and then just like hope to make it end game and get a free win. So like, yeah, I was not a fan of that.
For now. Luckily for you plane haters, Season 7 was the last season we would see them in Fortnite, as they would vault them in Season 8. However, if you
They came back during OG though, right? I think they did.
weren't a fan of planes, you probably preferred Season 7's hoverboards.
This is another one that I think is perfect. You could use it to get around the map quickly. You could use it to fly. It was fun to use. See, this is I feel like where my opinion differs from a lot of people in terms of like them saying the vehicles are fun to use. Like things like the planes or the mechs, I don't really feel satisfaction like getting eliminations that way. Like it's just not fun or satisfying to me. But like using this to fly around the map, I thought was fun. Or like I can see the fun in that. And then also, again, it's a decent risk reward. If you try to use this to just decide a fight isn't happening, the other player has like a pretty good opportunity to stop you from doing that.
These fast-moving, high-flying, trick shot machines were definitely a fan favorite. Although they weren't super practical for competitive game modes because you didn't really have any protection and it was easy to get shot while riding, for casual players, these hoverboards are definitely a top-tier vehicle in Fortnite history.
I'd put S.
And honestly, I wish they would bring them back permanently. This is certainly worthy of an A tier on our list. Also, it's important.
Yeah, I would have quad crashers, ATK, and hoverboard all A or S.
Important to note that this was actually the first Fortnite season where there was more than one vehicle added into the season. And that just shows you that Epic Games finally realized at this point that alternate mobility was important to both casual and competitive sides of the Fortnite game.
Boombox.
And if you thought that planes and hoverboards were crazy, wait until you see some of the vehicles later on this list. But right now it's time for Season 8. Probably my favorite season
Is it ballers?
in Fortnite history. And this also had the introduction of cannons. Okay, maybe a vehicle isn't the right
It's
word.
the most broken thing ever, by the way. And this should be coming back for the Pirates of the Caribbean update, and we'll see if they finally fix the bugs with it. Because there's been so many bugs with this where like you either fly off the map or you take fall damage after landing. And they brought like a version of this back in Chapter 3 and those same bugs persisted. So we'll see if they fix it for Pirates of the Caribbean.
For these cannon launchers, but they did help you with mobility because not
It is
only
fine.
could you launch cannonballs at enemy
Wait, it's
builds,
Val. I know him.
they did help you with mobility because not only could
Hello,
you
Val.
launch cannonballs at enemy builds, you could also launch yourself at them too.
What the heck?
Interesting.
Oh my god!
And although the cannons were fun, they were definitely not the most effective form of movement, which gets them to be the first D tier on our list. And now it's time
I'd put it C. It's like okay. It doesn't really impact the game much positively or negatively, I feel like.
for the next season, Season 9,
Oh, I thought ballers were added in Season 8.
or the World Cup season, as many call it. And for those of you
They
that
were in
don't
Season
remember,
9, but I thought they
this
were in
brought
8 as
along
well.
one of the most iconic forms of movement in Fortnite history.
These were incredibly overpowered. They weren't a weapon, but like getting in these just to try to make it in game was like something you could do. Like you could just avoid fighting entirely. Eventually they got nerfed to the point where I thought they were very balanced, where like you could use it to travel around the map quickly, but if you did so in a bad way, your baller was going to get beamed and destroyed, and then you would kind of be left in no man's land. So eventually I feel like I would put these in like S or A maybe, but at launch they were incredibly overpowered for just like running away and hiding.
The ballers.
Oh, he's out! He's out! Get him! He ripped it!
In competitive, they were like really important as well, obviously.
I knocked him!
Wait, that's crazy.
I got it!
These hamster toy looking vehicles didn't look harmful, but they were pretty overpowered. Although you couldn't exactly shoot out of them, they made it almost impossible for enemies to eliminate you. And for the competitive side, this led to stacked endgames.
It was very
full
fun
of
to use,
ballers
though.
rolling
The way you would like swing yourself with the momentum of it, I thought was very satisfying.
all over the low ground.
Oh my god.
But for those of us just playing the game for fun, these hamster balls were a great way to run away from the sweats in the lobby. Honestly, these ballers, which I'm placing at B tier, were just a little bit overpowered, but not nearly as overpowered as the next vehicle on our list.
The mechs.
All you OGs know exactly where I'm going with this. It's time to talk about the mechs.
Getting mech! The mech's tarping in!
Tim the Tatman won a game using the mech with his monitor turned off. That's all we got to say on this. He just turned his monitor off. He held the shoot button. His teammate would tell him when to shoot, and he would shoot. And they won that way.
He's tarping it in! What are the odds?
I don't have
I agree, Courage.
a lot to say.
He got fired for that, by the way, I think. He used to be one of the commentators for like the main Fortnite broadcasts. And I think he came out and said later that this is why he was no longer on the broadcast.
About these things, but I don't think anybody enjoyed them. These things were horrible to fight against in competitive,
I'm gonna keep tarping. I'm gonna need mats soon.
Killed one.
and just as bad in casual play.
Just go. What? It's invisible.
What?
The mecha is invisible for me.
I
That's
think
crazy.
we can all agree that these deserve to be the first F tier on our list. Lucky for us, however, the end of Chapter 1 was also the end of mechs, and Chapter 2 had a lot of amazing vehicles in store for us. The introduction of the new
I thought it just had regular cars.
water POIs on
Mechs did come back in Chapter 2, Season 8 towards the end, but they were like heavily nerfed.
the map
I was sad. That's when I came back to the game.
allowed for players to actually properly swim. And because of this,
like, they
Epic
bring
was
the mechs
also
back
able
when I
to
was
add
trying.
water-related vehicles into the game.
Oh, the
and
boats.
the very first ones were boats.
This is the best season.
This is like B or C. Like, I don't really have much of an opinion on this one way or the other.
Yeah, planes are unvaulted, boats can fly.
These motorboats were not only cool mobility, but they were also able to shoot rockets that could help destroy
I think I had a game griefed by the rockets like 3 times maybe. It wasn't a super big deal.
enemy builds. That being said, they were not overpowered at all, because they were mostly just effective when in the water. You could either choose to use them or avoid them.
You could like travel with it on land by like shooting the rocket at yourself, but it was very balanced.
Based on
if you had someone driving this on land to get away from you, like you were beaming them.
How you played the game. And for that reason, I actually really like the boats.
Whatever this
and
bug
think
is,
they
I don't
deserve
know.
a solid B tier on this list. Another honorable mention for our water mobility are for these guys.
Oh my god, this is so cool. Dude, I'm riding a shark. I'm riding a shark right now in Fortnite. Oh my.
Although not very practical to use in really any situation, it was still pretty cool that we could ride sharks, and they're gonna get a C tier. And with all this water on the map, we needed a way that we could avoid it and get around this terrain, or maybe go above it. But Fortnite had already gone through their plane phase, so
Oh yeah,
it
the
was
helicopters.
time for the Choppa.
Oh god, no. Again, I'm a vehicle hater. I didn't really have much of a problem with this. I thought they were pretty chill. I don't remember exactly much about it, but I remember not being irritated about it, so it was probably like decently balanced.
No! I'm going down!
Because like I said, I am
What'd I
very
do?
biased.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
These
he saved
also
it.
relatively overpowered helicopter
If this land was more flat, he could have placed the pad as he was landing and then saved himself with the pad, but because it was like a weird terrain, it didn't work.
These also relatively overpowered.
Was he no mats? No, he had mats. I don't know.
Oh, shit.
These also relatively overpowered helicopter vehicles were very similar to the planes. The only slight nerf was that instead of having a machine gun attachment, you actually would have to shoot your own guns while sitting in the helicopter. Although this wasn't my
I
favorite
think it also had a weak point. You could shoot like the top rudder thing and then it would like melt it. Like it would die pretty easily.
vehicle, the helicopters did lead to one of my favorite clips in Fortnite history.
Did he get in? Oh, that's actually crazy.
For this crazy clip, and the fact that they were technically less overpowered than planes, I'm going to rank these choppers just above planes and put them at B tier. The next vehicle we need to discuss are cars. Honestly, I won't waste too much time talking about these plane cars because they're fine. Nobody hates them, nobody loves them, they're just pretty solid.
I would like I don't have the high, like, again, I'm biased. If they were a bit weaker, I'd be happier. Like, even before Chapter 5 Season 3, like, there were times where you could just, like, get in a car and decide a fight wasn't happening, you know? And just, we've all played against those people that just, like, full run all game.
Mobility.
They are a lot more balanced.
But Epic has added some really cool collab cars. And in Chapter 2, we actually saw the introduction of the Fortnite Ferrari.
I didn't use this.
And even though I'm going to be giving this a B tier, this was not the coolest car collab that Fortnite has done, and later in this video, you'll see a couple more that are super awesome. But first, we need to talk about our next flying vehicle in Fortnite, the UFOs.
It was almost game over for your boy, but he's resilient.
The only time I encountered these were during a wild week in Chapter 3, and I remember not being too irritated with them, but apparently they were, like, nerfed by that point.
There's no way he lives. That's it. Yes! Oh my gosh.
I mean, these things were crazy. Aside from being overpowered and annoying to fight, I feel like they just looked really out of place aesthetically on the map. So because of those reasons, this is a C tier vehicle for me. But don't worry, my favorite vehicle is coming up in this next chapter, which is Chapter 3. Chapter 3 of Fortnite would
I don't know what it's gonna be. I think the first, like, new vehicle added in Chapter 3 was the tanks.
see a couple of crazy collabs, but before we get to those, we have to make it past the Titan tanks. Yeah, they sound scary.
Okay, I am a hater of vehicles. These tanks were not that big of a deal. The driver was very exposed, and the striker burst rifle we had at the time was really overpowered. And then I think you could even shoot like the back of it or the treads to like disable it. I remember waking up, seeing that trailer, and like questioning if I wanted to continue playing the game when I saw those tanks. But these were like pretty bad, I thought. And anytime I saw someone using them, I thought they were going to be a free kill. The armored battle bus was very annoying, but he'll get to that in a moment, probably.
And that's because they were. If you were playing Fortnite in early Chapter 3, these things were menacing. I remember running away anytime I saw one of these tanks. They were
The driver, like, was so beamable.
hard to break, almost impossible to shoot enemies out of, and they
I very much disagree. I think they're very easy to shoot people out of.
had crazy rockets and machine gun attachments. Although tanks are pretty cool, Fortnite was not during this time.
But see this? If you were behind it and shot this, it would like overheat, I think. And then the driver, I wish they had like a front perspective of it. The driver is like in front, but like very easily beamable, I think.
And machine gun attachments. Although tanks are pretty cool, Fortnite was not during this time, and I'm gonna have to give these tanks a D tier for being.
I mean, I would also put them D tier, I guess, just because I hate the idea of them. But like of the vehicles we've had in Fortnite that, you know, have guns on them and can eliminate players, I think the tanks were like the least overpowered.
Really scary and overpowered. The only reason I didn't give them an F is because tanks are pretty cool, I guess. But not as cool as this.
This one was so annoying. So harder to beam people out of than the tanks, I think. It moves much faster. Has a cow crasher on it, so it like destroys everything. And the turrets, I think, were better than like the tank's like main gun. And then also there's like, for whatever reason, I don't know why, I encountered so many teamers using the armored battle bus.
Armored battle bus. This bus is really just another version of the tank, but disguised
I don't think so.
in
It's way
Fortnite
better.
clothes.
You could pop the tires on it, which was nice. And so like they would spawn in certain spots, and I would always like break the tires if I travel past one.
I mean, if you got your whole squad on one of these, it was deadly. For sheer coolness factors, I'll put it above the tank
I'd put that one at F with the mech.
and give it a C tier.
I would put this, the mech, and then the cars from this season in F, the boss cars.
But it still was not as cool as my favorite vehicle of all time. Drum roll, please. The Spider-Man gloves.
And the dunk. Oh!
Was Spider-Man part of the Transformers? Is it a car?
Yeah.
I don't know much about superheroes, but dang.
Now, I can already smell the comments from here. Yes, I know these aren't technically a vehicle, but you know what? This is my YouTube channel,
He's baiting comments, W.
and these things were awesome, so I'm including them. I love these so much, not only because they fit perfectly in
Yeah, I was pretty chill with these. I think they're very good. They're very fun to use, and they, again, had a decent downside. If you got shot when gloving, you had potential to take fall damage if you were too high up. So you had to, like, you know, think about how you were going to use it somewhat. The worst thing about the Spidey gloves was just, like, those games where, like, you haven't gotten one yet and everyone else does, which is true for, like, any good mobility item ever in the game.
with the Spider-Man season, but they weren't overpowered at all. It was a great way to swing around and get from point to
If that person shot him while he was in the air,
Spider-Man season, but
if they just looked up and shot their shotgun, he's dead to fall, probably.
they weren't overpowered
Like, look at how high he
at
goes.
all. It
Maybe
was a
not,
great
but
way
he
to
would've taken
swing
a lot of
around
fall.
and get from point to point on the map without being super overpowered and doing damage to others. You could use them to W key opponents or run away, but you could also get beamed out of the sky while using them, so it was also a risk. And this balance, mixed with how cool the concept was, is why I am giving this an S tier. This wasn't the only collab vehicle in Chapter 3, however.
Yeah, there's like these Spidey backpacks where you could get them. And so, like, if you just hadn't gotten one yet, you couldn't. Or, like, if you were playing squads and your friends had one, but you didn't yet, it was like you couldn't even play, it felt like.
Because remember earlier in the video when I told you we would have more collab cars? Well, here's number 2, the Rocket League collab. For those of you that
I
don't
forgot about this. This was done well. So now the Rocket League car is like a skin, but in Chapter 3, it was like it was its own car, and I thought it was like fun to use and pretty well balanced.
know, Rocket League is basically a soccer video game, but with cars instead of people. And the game is also owned by Epic Games, so naturally it made sense for the two games to make this awesome collab. Although it was very simple, it was cool to see. And being a regular car
I think it had the same mechanics from the Rocket League game. I've never played Rocket League, but I saw people say that.
collab, I'll give this a solid B tier. And speaking of simplicity, it's time to discuss Chapter 4. When it comes to vehicles, Chapter 4 is pretty basic, and there are only 3 main vehicles that we're going to cover. And the first one is pretty sick. This is the Nitro Drifter. Although this car was mostly just a regular car, you could increase it
I didn't even know this was a different car, to be honest, yeah.
speed by drifting. So turn on the radio and vibe with the squad as you drift onto some enemies. Because this is a little bit upgraded from the regular cars, I'm gonna give this an A tier. And perhaps the opposite of futuristic drifter
Bro,
cars
seeing the chapter 4 map makes me sad.
is
I missed it.
dinosaurs. And in season
I thought the motorcycles were in season 1. The motorcycles were very balanced, I thought.
3 of chapter 4, also known as Wilds, you were able to ride raptors or dinosaurs across the map. Pretty cool, but also pretty useless. And for that reason, I'm gonna give it a C tier. And last but not least, for chapter 4 is my favorite vehicle addition this season, which was motorcycles. Similar to cars.
Yeah, again, like I've said about everything that I like, it was good for traveling around the map. If you tried to use it in a bad situation, you were probably going to get beamed if the person shooting at you had like okay aim. And I think that is like, for me, what I want in a vehicle. Good for mobility, but like decent risk reward, and the motorcycles had that.
These were just very simple and easy to use. Nothing too crazy to talk about. I just appreciate a cool and simplistic addition to the game. Not to mention, you can hit some pretty cool trick shots. That deserves a B tier. And now, last but not least, we are on to chapter 5, where we have my favorite car collab in all of Fortnite, so make sure to stay till the end of the chapter to see what it is, and see if you agree. But first, let's talk about the Ninja Turtles. At the start of chapter 5, Fortnite had an awesome collab with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but in addition to having new skins, they also brought
Was he going to talk about airbending in this?
back the hover.
Oh, I forgot they brought back the hoverboard. I thought he was going to talk about like the turtle like swords as a vehicle, like how he did with Spider-Man. Am I the only one that forgot about this?
Board with a cool new Ninja
Dude, I really am a goldfish.
Turtles upgrade. This board was basically the
It's
same as
been
the
like
old
3
one,
months,
but it
5
was a
months.
tad bit cooler because the TMNT theme was pretty sweet. For that, I'm gonna give the hoverboard an A tier for sure. And if
It was basically the same thing. It was just like not as good, I think, because it's
You
like
haven't
they nerfed it over time or something.
living under a Fortnite rock, you know what I've got to talk about next.
Yeah. Yeah, I will not be playing this season.
I have already
You
shared
tell him, Ninja.
my opinions on these monstrosities of a vehicle in a different video, so I won't talk about them for too long, but I hate these new Chapter 5 cars.
This armored battle bus we have in chapter 5 is significantly worse than the chapter 3 one. If you guys have used that and you're like, oh, it wasn't that bad, the chapter 3 one was on a different level. Lost cars this season I would have as F tier.
If you
They were S tier in terms of being OP, but like in terms of how I feel about them, you know.
can't tell from this entire video, I hate overpowered items, and these cars were so difficult to fight against. For that, I am giving them a big fat F tier. But
Like I said earlier, I don't really get satisfaction getting kills from cars. I never did, all the way back to when I was like 11 playing Halo 3. So like the vehicles this season being quote unquote fun, it's just not as fun to me. Like getting kills with the guns is what's satisfying to me. And like the launch of the season was a mess. It has gotten a lot better though. I did make a video on my second channel talking about like how I feel like Epic Games have actually improved this season a lot, but these cars were very out of line.
But you've waited long enough to see the coolest car collab in Fortnite, and it's with
That looked like such a fun experience, man.
You've waited long enough to see the
Trying to get loot and then GG's.
coolest car collab in Fortnite, and it's with McLaren. Enough said.
All right, that is going to be it for this video. Let me know down in the comments below what your favorite and least favorite vehicle was. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more. And like I said earlier, his video will be linked down in the description below. Thanks for watching.